So we could call to order the meeting. Welcome everyone. And I think that's Heidi, right?
Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance. Next. All rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Come on, man, we got agenda review next.
Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Not for me.
No, I got a couple of any other businesses, that's it.
Okay, super. Why don't we move on to public comment?
I don't believe we have anybody, correct?
Okay.
Nobody's here.
Okay, so much for public comment. Next, approve and accept the minutes for Monday, February, whoops, I'm sorry, I've got the wrong one. Monday, March 25th, 2024, meeting as presented.
I'll move we approve the minutes from Monday, March 25th, 2024 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motion accepted. Is there any discussion?
No.
Motion carried.
Could I do
Meetings.
all those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
No.
Approve and accept the village warrants for Thursday, warrants through Thursday, April 4th, 2024.
I move that they be approved.
And I'll second.
Motion carried, motion accepted. Any discussion?
None.
All good.
All good?
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Well, moving right along. Number 7. Grant project update with Heidi. Rich. Valenta?
It's your preference if you want eye contact there, if you want on this side of the table here.
I'm okay either way, what works better for the board.
What's a preference?
Roll up a chair.
Yeah, probably good there, because you still get
If you want.
good side angle. Let me do that for you. You just, yeah, you want, well, do you want one that rolls or not?
Sure,
Okay.
if you can get it through.
Of
Is
course.
there rolly chairs?
Coming off the injury. Please be careful.
I wasn't eager to jump over those cords over there, so this is good. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to come in and chat with you about grants. So I've put together a presentation, but just for some background, so I was hired full-time June 1st of last year, started part-time in May, and that was a position created to assist with projects and grants and kind of help things keep moving along. So having a great time so far, very swift paced here and plenty of different grant opportunities. And in addition to grants, there's also a few other projects that are going on as well. We've spent a lot of time this year focusing on safety policies, getting new safety equipment, making sure every department is doing their best to make sure all the employees are safe. Little capital budgeting, we're starting, Lynn and I are attending a full day capital budgeting workshop in Barrie tomorrow, so that'll be a full day. And I'm sure you're aware there are many different sizes and types of grants, and some are swift, little easy, done in 12 months or less, and others can drag on for a very long time. Sometimes it feels like they're not moving forward at all. 3 to 5 years is, an average amount of time for a federal grant. And the state of Vermont is having a very hard time keeping up with permitting for all of the projects that are going on. So sometimes things get really lost in permitting. We saw that for your wastewater project and your water project. Those permitting processes are overburdened because of all the additional funding and the additional flood damage, all sorts of things. So that can slow things down as well. But it is worth it in the long run, and slow and steady wins the race.
So you now are on the screen.
I'm on the screen, well,
If you
that's
turn to
okay, we had a
whichever
chat.
screen you want, that's, it is now projecting.
So, you can go ahead and flip forward, please.
Do you see what it's doing on the bottom?
Yeah,
Never seen that before.
this is just a test.
So it's,
It's closed caption for the hearing impaired.
Hey, let's roll with it.
That works.
Just ignore what's going around on the bottom.
So right out of the gate, we're gonna talk about a grant that was secured before I arrived, and it is for repair of the B6 bridge. So you all know it is in dire need of some TLC. So this is just a Band-Aid. It's intended to last 3 to 5 years. And it is coming through the local District 8 AOT. So it's state funding, and they're giving us $200,000 to fix the joints that are the major problem. And the village has a match with that as well. But we just put that out to bid, and the bids came back higher than we have. But the good news is that Bill has been negotiating, so we're getting closer to what we have. And so that project will go forward this summer, and there will be a complete bridge closure for an estimated 2 weeks, as many as 20 days. So that's what we're looking at for this summer, sometime after July 4th and before August 15th. Total shutdown of the bridge. So the second page is the second phase of your B6 upgrade. And sometime in May, representatives from the state will be coming to present information to you on local concerns about what needs to happen with your bridge long-term. We have an estimated date of 2029 for either a replacement of that bridge or rehabilitation, and that will be determined by the engineers. They've hired an engineering firm to start that design. And one of the questions when they come will be, is the village willing to close the bridge? So we're assuming the answer is yes, since that's being allowed for the temporary fix, but it would be a much longer period of time. So how you decide will affect your local match. So whatever the price of the bridge replacement is, I shouldn't say replacement, I should say rehabilitation or replacement, will be dependent on your willingness to close it. So if you are willing to close it, you could have a 5% match on a replacement. If you insist on the road being open, you'd have a 10% match. So
It's about $500,000 minimum
you're,
additional impact on us.
sure.
and we don't know what the cost of the bridge will be. They may have some early figures for you when they come and do their presentation, but that's all we know at this point.
Right.
But would the state allow us to close it?
Yeah,
Yes.
this is what they prefer to
They
do.
would reward you.
Done.
Well, it's a really good test to see how our citizens react to a 20-day closure,
Yeah, right.
because it will be far longer than that.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
years.
I mean, it's not just
Well-
our citizens, it's people from out there too.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a big deal, and it affects, rescue services. It affects a lot of people,
Yeah.
but you have a beautiful alternative to go down
Yep.
South River and
Down
up
to
BB,
BB Road,
and
yeah.
so that is on the horizon. A meeting should be scheduled fairly soon. And you also have, a $35,000 highway safety improvement grant. And that focuses entirely on, improving your signage, which a lot of our signs are old, they're not retro reflective, they're not as safe as they could be. They also, the poles, they would like all the poles to be breakaway now, so if there's an accident, the passengers in the vehicle are not injured as much as they would be with a solid pole. And it would be redoing your street painting for crosswalks, stops. So it'll make a very vast improvement in the village. And I'll just say that these AOT grants for your transportation projects tend to be very favorable for municipalities because they're in essence, the state is getting you to do very valuable work that aids everyone. So the village would get $35,000 and your public works department would do the work. So you're looking at probably $10,000 of material, and then it would, you would be making your match through the use of your equipment and your forced labor. So they tend to be very favorable for you in that you don't have to put cash in, and oftentimes your public work hours are covered for something that you would do anyway. So this is another similar situation. The state passed the municipal roads general permit a few years back, and that means that each municipality is obligated to fix a certain number of stormwater issues that are contributing to phosphorus loading to Lake Champlain, to waterways. So it's all mapped out and assessed, and there are certain areas that are high, or high need and on down the line. But one of the major things that they would like is that all of these outlets that are on the riverbank are stabilized. So you have a $9,000 grant for 2024. We have gotten this site approved, which is at the end of Winters Court on the riverbank. And this will purchase the necessary stone and make sure that that area is stable. So it's not,
A ripple type of.
no erosion hitting the river is what is the aim. So the impact to the village is a $2,500 match, but that would be through your equipment and labor of your public works department. So we already have been informed that next year the village will be eligible for another $9,000. So we just set in the letter of intent. We don't have a project selected for that yet. We'll do probably the same process we did for the last one. We meet with NRPC, we look at each site, what's needed, what can we afford for $9,000. It's possible we'll just stabilize another outlet on the riverbank, but there are several. This is just one more stormwater issue that you have. It's just a very vulnerable bank that's contributing sediment loading to the river.
Is this the real one here, or it's just a
Behind my house.
It's,
high yours? Or in the stream?
With a gully there.
Okay.
it is one of the potential sites. To be determined is what happens.
Sure.
So this is an exciting project that you've probably heard about. This was awarded prior to my arrival, and the village has a $300,000 grant to look at more safety improvements in the village. And I put in that map that comes from the study that we're working with. So there was a downtown safety study, I think in 2022, and that identified the village as being a very high crash area. And you can see the number of vehicles there is demonstrating that. So that will focus on making changes at First and Grand Street intersection, at Canada and Grand Street, and also across Grand Avenue from the end of the park. And the plan is to widen the sidewalk a little bit in that area, or curbing, I should say, so that the crosswalk area is shorter. Less time for pedestrians to be vulnerable. And there will be a few crosswalks redone with that. But it's also gonna focus on the front of Merchants Row. You know you have a hectic parking area there, so there's a few modifications being made to change that, but also a lot of focus on the ADA area in front of Merchants Row for universal access. The wheelchair ramps are not conveniently placed next to appropriate parking spots. It's not well outlined, so those improvements will be very welcome to provide universal access to visitors to Merchants Row. And I should say visitors and residents, because there are apartments as well. So, in addition to the last safety improvements, we also just were awarded another $473,750 for the modifications that the trustees approved last November, I believe. So, the village will be working on 74 Merchants Row to make that a more formalized parking lot, add an EV charger, and provide more parking in that area. And by changing Church Street to one-way, they're gonna prevent parking going back into that hectic triangle in front of Merchants Row. It's gonna send them south. And making it one-way will also allow for bike lanes to be added. So you're gonna provide a further safe route from the rail trail. Your bike lanes come down Grand Avenue as far as the end of the park, and then they're just kind of thrown into the mix. So it's gonna direct them to Church Street, and they'll have safe route right into the village business district, restaurants, and businesses. So it's a real boon for your village safety, but it actually was prompted because the Public Works Department was having a really hard time with stormwater on Church Street. A lot of water sitting on the street, they can't clean it up, and they can't keep the stormwater out of the way because some of those drains are just dry wells and they fill in very rapidly. So Dean wanted to redo the stormwater, so he said, well, if we're gonna do that, let's get a streetscaping grant, do it all, do the safety improvements at the same time. So we were really happy to see that come in. It's gonna make a big difference in your village.
So Heidi, if I may, so what the trustees approved last year, late last year, was what we anticipated we would get for a maximum, which was $600,000 with a $150,000 match. So we didn't get it all, we got most of it. The significant part of this is that $118,000. We have reminders, but we will determine by our 2026 budget building cycle what part of that is hard match, and then build that into the budget.
Thank you. Forgot to mention that.
And then it's just a follow-up question. What we are also trying to determine, but we do not think, based on this budgeting, that it will be a part of this project. We're still hopeful to find funds for a complete redo for parking at 74 Merchants Row. That's a big part of everything we're trying to do in that downtown corridor. We do not believe that this project funding incorporates that.
Oh, really?
We don't think so.
Oh,
Thought it did though.
600,000 might have.
yeah, they,
473, I don't think does.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
may be able to manage some of the stormwater because it's kind of linked,
Right.
but the full
Right.
build-out of 74 Merchants Row is not in
Not
this
part of
amount.
it.
No.
But the drainage is important.
It
The
is.
drainage is important, very important. Because it's all going down that street,
Yeah.
Ferry Street, and it
Mhm.
goes right into the river. So steep right there, so.
So we'll have to continue to explore companion funding for this, for that parking lot.
Yeah,
It's a big part of it. Once we do that next iteration, the downtown, remember, we lose significant parking in front of Merchants Row, in
So-
particular the north side.
Yes,
So that parking
Right.
area, if we can expand it and mark it, pave it, that's gonna take care of all of that and then some.
But is that something, 74 Merchants Row, we can build as we go?
So if we try to maximize the entire footprint, it is much bigger than what it is now.
Right.
It's a significant project
Okay.
with engineering studies, retaining wall, all of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
I didn't know if we could start, you know,
part of it.
whenever we had excess, start building our retaining wall.
Yeah, I mean, everything
But it-
takes
yeah.
time. I
Oh,
mean,
it
we're
does.
talking, even the EV chargers, we have a 100-week lead time
Yeah.
on the transformer that will take care of the level 3 charger there.
And they're pushing this, so they're not available.
Right.
Pardon me.
Yes. That is one of the other reasons that things are moving slowly. There are delays in getting equipment and materials. So, it's a good point. This next project is one that Public Works is very excited about. I'm very excited about it too. It's going to put them, it's gonna take them from being reactive to water breaks, sewer line breaks, all the issues that they're called out overtime, middle of the night, or in extreme weather, and put them in a position of assessing all of the most vulnerable pieces. You're gonna have a report that will outline them, prioritize them, and give you estimates for those segments. One of the other reasons it's valuable is that there are some customers in your service area that don't have great service. Their lines are diminished, sometimes they fill in over years, and also it's limiting growth because you can't add on to a line that isn't big enough.
For water and sewer or both?
This will assess both, water and sewer. Give you those planning documents, and what that'll do is put us in a position to apply for funding. There is ample funding out there to upgrade those
No, excellent.
lines. So, the grant is for $13,950, and, the village has a $1,550 cash match. I'm not allowed to use any in-kind for that. So, it's that full amount will be used to pay a consultant. And we had a committee of 6, the water, sewer department, Public Works, Bill and I evaluated our proposals, and we selected Aldridge and Elliott. And we have completed a contract with them, so they'll be starting that very soon.
It's important to note for this thing and other things we're gonna talk about tonight, the biggest impact on our budget are things that are general funds to include Public Works. So when you see things that are related to water and sewer to include this project, the cash match, because it is directly related only to water and sewer, is shared by those enterprise funds equally, water and sewer, water and wastewater.
So you're all aware of the wastewater upgrade. That is anticipated to be started this summer and may need to be finished up in 2025. That's an $8 million project. We were able to get a fair amount of support from the Clean Water Fund, and those are, they keep you moving through the process, and there's not really a final decision from them until, you get your bid numbers. So that should be coming up soon, and we were also able to get a Community Resilience and Revitalization Program grant for $800,000 for that. And that is used for match against your other grants. So, Lynn is the one holding all of this together. She's the mastermind behind those numbers, so, and she's working closely with Aldridge and Elliott to make that happen. So that should be starting this summer. And the other, we had a lot of infrastructure projects going on. This was also started before my time. I'm coming in and learning about it, but the need is that water line you see at the bottom of the bridge has been vulnerable to past ice jams, and it's time to put that in a safer place, which also it's time because that bridge is likely to be replaced. So you're drilling under the Missisquoi River from Webster Terrace to Foundry Street near the boat launch, and that is already, the contractor's secured, and that should be starting in the spring.
Nice.
Summer.
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 So,
Come on.
Summer, sorry.
the Riviera, you're all familiar with that as well. So, again, this was a project that came out of an economic development study that Regional Planning Commission did with the village, and talked about the ways that public-private investments can help to stimulate revitalization, similar to what St. Albans has done on some projects. So the village purchased that, went through Brownsfields to understand what about the building was contaminated, how to dispose of it, and worked with Brownsfield funds to raise that building. And now there's some minor testing going on soils that were underneath, and looking at a minor lead contamination and such. The cleanup plan is expected very shortly, and then there will be an application to Brownsfields for funding, and the village would be on the hook for 25% of that. So the thought is to have a opportunity for development proposals to come to the village for your consideration, to see how you would like that to be revitalized. There could be nonprofit housing opportunities, there could be private development opportunities, so you'll be able to choose how you'd like to go forward.
It's still a couple of years from completion, most likely.
Well, I think the cleanup plan should be approved and should be finalized in April.
Yeah.
And following that, it's just a matter of getting a contractor in there to do whatever remediation is needed. But it isn't necessarily prudent to go forward until you know what your final development plan is. If you're planning on putting parking in the area where there's minor contaminants, you have to do less. If you're planning on having that be a play area, you'd need to do more. So they kind of go hand in hand, the development plan and the cleanup.
But you have to reapply for more brownfield.
We would apply for brownfield funding, but it's very attractive to a private developer that doesn't have the same opportunity to utilize those funds as you do. So that's the benefit to the village being involved, is it's much more likely to get back on the market.
But would this be something similar to what Highgate's doing with Cathedral's land?
A little
Did I get that
different,
right?
little different in terms of senior housing, because it's not a viable
But I mean, like
location.
working in a partnership, but the way I understood in their last meeting was that, like the board was signing on to be like the guarantee or guarantor of the building. Would we be doing something similar to that?
No, I think ours would be a receive, put out an RFP, we have the basis of that kind of structure started. We were supposed to have a remediation plan by April 1st, and once again, they failed to meet the deadline, so it delays it a little bit, but let's go by fall, we should be at the RFP stage. It comes in front of the trustees, you choose, in all likelihood, you're choosing a path that says we are going to sell this
The property.
parcel.
Gotcha.
To,
Okay.
We don't
for
have-
whatever purpose,
whatever
and you hold
purpose.
them accountable to create
To
that
create
purpose.
that purpose,
Mhm.
got it.
Yep.
So a similar scenario for 124 First Street, obviously purchased for its location, adjoining your property that is very much overburdened. So the ultimate, the final use is to be determined, but the same process is happening. Those initial contaminants have been assessed, and there's been several studies. So when the final development plan is determined, then you will be able to see, yeah, your remediation plan will be determined by how much is parking lot, how much is workspace.
Is there any annexation talk yet on that, or do we have to,
We talked about doing that in 2025 legislative session.
okay,
That's
gotcha.
what, those were our
I know,
past
I
discussions.
couldn't remember if it was
Yeah.
this year or next year. Okay, thank you.
So there's a program that we applied to, and they are in the process of evaluating every municipality's buildings. So we became eligible for two. There was an assessment on your wastewater treatment facility, and there is one scheduled in May for this building to look at potential energy improvements. And the assessment is free. There's no charge to the village. And the audit will result in a report that will give you recommendations that will put you in a position to apply for as much as $500,000 in energy improvements. So it's a very exciting program. It will, of course, be competitive, and the highest priority will go to those communities that are experiencing a higher energy burden. Swanton is not considered to have a high energy burden because you do such a good job keeping the prices reasonable. But not every municipality will necessarily apply. So they're anticipating that, there will be a greater opportunity than we originally anticipated. So we'll definitely apply and see what happens.
Who's doing the audit?
Who's doing the audit? I can't say that I know. It was two separate firms. The one that did the transfer station, the water treatment facility is not the same one that's doing this audit. I can get those names for you.
It's okay, but they're hired by the state.
Yes, correct,
Yes,
contractors.
the
Yes.
state has a contract for multiple contract consultants to do that work.
Okay.
The other category in that same program, Municipal Energy Resilience Program, MERP, is a $4,000 mini grant. Your energy committee stepped up and said yes, they would like to do that. They've used a little bit of it to do some different programs, and that's just one of their flyers. They've done a heat pump demonstration. They did a meeting with farmers. Their last one was to highlight some EV vehicles and other items. They had, quite a crowd come to the village, and they really, their strength is doing those outreach events. I think they've done a few and had really good success with them. So that's what that money is for. This is another little grant, so we're working with Vermont Housing Conservation Board, their READY grant, Rural Economic Development Initiative, and that is designed to give smaller communities a leg up in getting larger grants. So our aim for this mini grant, $2,100, was to pay an electrical engineer to give us a benefit cost analysis for an emergency grant for your hydro facility. So they would really like to have one installed and they're quite pricey. So
Diesel powered generator.
I suspect that would be what they would ultimately decide on. We're at the stage right now of just determining, can we justify it with a benefit cost analysis? Because you can't apply to FEMA without one.
Area. Can't be very big for 2,000, right?
Well, that's just a study.
That's,
This is, yeah,
no,
right?
that's just the benefit cost analysis. So
10 to 1?
the generator would probably be over 100,000.
Oh, yes. It's a lot of money.
Yes, it is,
And that's just to get it going if it shuts down.
yes.
And right now, how many generators do we have? 2? One at water?
Well, here,
Yeah, there's
Here,
one
here
down
in water?
wastewater.
Wastewater has
Wastewater.
water, so there's 3.
that's an oldie but a goodie, yeah,
Still runs.
it does.
And then, but there's no backup generator at the moment at the hydro facility.
I don't think so.
I don't
No,
think so
Not
either.
at the dam.
Right, correct.
They don't have anything solar powered? I'm sorry. They
Pardon?
don't have anything solar powered?
We don't.
No,
No,
no, okay.
This last one is very recent also. Lynn's managing this one, and it is an opportunity for each department to get updated safety equipment or personal protective clothing. So it's an annual grant, and it's through your insurance company, Passive. You're eligible for a $5,000 grant with a $5,000 match. So it's for things you would purchase anyway, and she saves them up and tries to put them on for a grant annually to, just to offset the cost. And there's some great stuff in there. So that's one you'll see on an annual basis. And the last page was just a summary of what you have open for grants that we know basically what the amount is. Some we're still, like the bridge, we don't know what that dollar amount will be. We're in the program, we know that. They've started our engineering. Same with the brownfields projects, we don't know what that amount will be, or what will be eligible to apply for our energy assessment, what those recommendations will be. But so you're looking at $5 million that you're managing right now for grants.
Good job. Fantastic.
It's a team effort, and it's taking everybody to do it. It's really, as I mentioned, some of the grants are quite burdensome. So you also have multiple pending applications. We have a structures grant. We applied for additional funding for the bridge repair. Not sure if the timing will even work, and if we would be eligible for any more on that project. But they said, go ahead and apply, so we did. But we have submitted also for $175,000 for some paving work on Linda Avenue and Lake Street. And EV chargers, we would like to put 2 high level, level 3 EV chargers in that parking lot, which we discussed this with NRPC, and that's the place for the fast chargers. People are gonna go in, have an hour-long meal, or go shopping, get back in their car and leave. They suggested that here at this facility, for the replacement of the existing ones that are dysfunctional, that we go with level 2. Workplace, people are there longer, they're gonna plug in, go in, maybe go out and unplug at lunch. But, so those are large grant amounts as well, $180,000 and $160,000.
So it'd be 4 stations in all,
4 stations in all,
and
yes.
and fee.
And fee, yes.
Yep.
And there was a workshop today on, setting the fees, making that work. It can be done, I have seen it, so that there is no cost to the municipality. It is a user.
Yeah.
User
As it
support
should be.
fee, as it should be. And then we have 2 applications in for assistance with the 3-acre permits. You've probably heard Jones Court has a 3-acre permit, as well as this municipal property. And they're pricey, so those are the costs. The maximum is $49,000. It will likely cost more than that to get permitted for Jones Court, because it has so many properties, so much impervious, and it's a very complex situation.
And that's necessary because it was just never taken care of way back when, or what is the reason?
It was
for
never
it?
grandfathered in when they changed the rules, what, 5 years ago?
Well, it was permitted, it had a permit, but the standards have changed.
Okay.
So this round, they're good, the permit is good for 5 years, so this round was a much higher bar
Okay,
of what you need to do.
so would be just the additional be assessed on all the property owners on Jones Court after grant, or?
There is no plans that I'm aware of to assess any fees to the homeowners.
So we have 5 years to implement. This first round will fund,
Yeah.
it'll be funded by grants, the assessment, or the vast majority of the assessment.
The design and permitting
Right.
process,
Yes.
up to $49,000
Yep.
can be covered.
Would be whatever needs to be done to bring it into compliance is a different.
The construction, yes, they keep saying that there is a fund that will open up to fund that, and it has not opened up yet. And there are other stormwater grants that could possibly cover some of it, but, it's to be determined.
And there's no stormwater system on Jones Court right now?
There is.
There is.
There is. One of those pictures that you saw was, an outlet off from Jones
Oh,
Court.
okay, yeah.
Right, yes. your
So,
backyard.
when it was constructed, and I'm speaking in very general terms because I don't know, but when it was constructed, it's quite likely that the contractor had obligations they had to meet for drainage on driveways and certain areas. And this time, the state is saying, we need this much, not this much, stormwater management. So, just like we're having to stabilize the outlets on the riverbank, each one of those stormwater situations is going to have to be improved. One of the things we learned was in this evaluation that Watershed Consulting is doing for us, there were surveys from the homeowners. Many homeowners are experiencing serious water in their homes.
Year round,
It's not a functional system.
right.
It's not taking care of the homeowners the way it is.
I mean, just excess water in the basement type of scenario.
Yes, groundwater.
That's been pretty much most of Swanton.
But it's
I don't
a,
have any
but,
water in my basement.
but it's a good, it's a
Yeah.
good,
Me
it's
neither,
a
not
great
at the limit.
question. It's a great question though, because we do have 5 years to implement the solution. There could be grant funding. But the next big question will be what responsibility, if any, do the homeowners have? There's no
Yeah.
defined homeowners association in Jones Court. And that will have to be a dialogue depending on what the scope of work looks like. And we're not alone. Every community in the state of Vermont is dealing with this. These are the 2 that we own, Jones Court and 120 First Street, here, where we sit.
Yeah, it's, I think a lot of communities are struggling with this. That's why they opened that fund,
Right.
to help people at least get their permit. The last slide is applications in development. There's, every department has some needs. So, we talked about the $500,000 available for energy improvements to your 2 municipal facilities, the emergency generator. We're also working on a hydro production incentive that would reward you for the addition of generator 5. and work, and the power that resulted from it. And it's potentially over a 10-year period. So we calculated an approximate $30,000 incentive based on the rate that they're offering and the generation you had for 2023. Does not mean we will get that, because they said depending on how many applicants they get, they may reduce everybody's amount equally. So it's, that's just an estimate of what we anticipate. We're also looking to apply to the hydro maintenance and enhancement program, which is also through the Department of Energy, because you have exciters that are no longer excited. And
Oh my God.
they need
You
to
just
be,
did that?
they need to be replaced, so,
People are gonna wonder what that is.
so maybe
Okay.
someone who knows what it is should say that.
What's an exciter about?
You will see it, and I'll show you which unit she's talking about. So
It's
there,
exciting.
it's not that exciting. They're 40 years old, they need to be updated. It's a critical component of the function of the power plant, let's just say that.
So
And then you'll
something
get-
that hydro that's actually, I'm older than, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
so,
piece of equipment.
so we
hydro
believe an exciter to replace one is gonna range from an estimate of 200 to 250,000 a year. We want to get in the replacement cycle of doing one of those a year. If we can offset that, I was gonna say with a simple application, with an onerous application and get $63,000, why not?
Why
Why
not?
not?
So the plan for the exciter that you will see on your hydro tour, just one of them in one cabinet, would be in 2025. So we're trying to get 63,000 in anticipation of that replacement to lighten the load a little bit.
Gotcha.
But it's $1 million in cost minimum just to update that entire exciter panel.
It's kind of critical to the operation of the plant, though.
Vital.
So we also need to update the road erosion inventory. That's directly linked to that municipal roads general permit. It identifies your erosion issues that must be fixed, and then you have a certain number of years to fix them. So we have to do that. They typically have a fund of $8,000 to help you get that inventory updated. Hasn't opened up yet this year, so I don't know why, but hopefully it still will. And we have another exciting application that we're working on to replace the sidewalk from First Street along Grand Avenue, potentially as far as Furman Place. So we
Exciting.
get,
Pretty good.
That's exciting.
yeah,
One side
Oh, it
of
is.
both.
Kind of a nice-
Probably
one side.
One side.
One side,
But
anyway.
it would replace the sidewalk you have with a 5-foot sidewalk. Yeah, it is
Oh, so
very,
wide.
Oh, see, it's very broken. I walk it almost every
Oh,
day.
it's
and
horrible.
You can do-
it's terrible.
I used to,
terrible.
can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So that would be a $75,000
Nice wall.
maximum with a $75,000 match, but it would be through your equipment and labor. The Public Works Department would do the work.
They would, I was
Yes.
gonna ask.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Yes.
that's like 2025 as well,
If
right?
we get a lot of money, we can.
Or 26.
Okay.
No, I would say 2025 if we get this one, because this does not involve any design or engineering. It would be the Public Works Department's,
Replacing, widening.
yes.
Okay.
Yep. So, and the other ones, the dollar amounts remain unknown. So it's just to give you a vision of, there are plenty of applications in the works, there's plenty of need, there with all of your departments and your parks and your facilities. There are endless opportunities for grants. The question is, how many can we manage at one time? How much match can we put in? So that's the balance. So that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Glad you're here,
Yeah.
because I knew we were
Me too.
missing, I knew we were missing things.
It's
If
tough.
I could read about them and this sort of thing, and I talked to Reg, and we just didn't have manpower.
I think a lot of municipalities are coming to the same conclusion, that's why they're doing those additional hires, is you really need time to make them all work.
Because we could read about programs within the state and this government, this sort of thing, and we weren't really aware.
Yep, well, I'm happy I'm here too, enjoying it very much.
Well,
Yes, we're very happy you're here, and thank you trustees for listening when we asked for the additional capacity and position, because you're the ones that made it happen. And you are seeing, just based on what you're seeing here, you're seeing surrounding communities hiring grant and project people,
Good.
left and right.
they're catching on.
Good.
You know, it's,
But
you
it's
can't,
competition.
otherwise you're leaving millions of dollars on the table.
I mean, we'd have left $5 million.
Yeah,
Well,
or 5 million you would have had to ask taxpayers for. So,
we'll postpone it.
yep.
Yep, so I'll come back anytime you wanna talk about.
Thank you, ma'am,
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
Are you gonna stick around, Heidi?
I'll stick around,
Okay.
yep.
All right. Excellent.
Any other questions for Heidi?
No,
Well, I'm okay, thank you very much.
All very good information. Okay, number 8, discussion on defacing at Marble Mill Park.
Yeah, so I can give you an update. Our public works team's done a significant amount of work cleaning the brush on the left side of the parking lot as you enter. Really putting some stone down, some topsoil on top of that. The whole goal there is have nothing but a grassy area when you drive in. Some of those trees are gonna keep coming back. It's a Japanese knotwood that is, yeah, that's why you burn it in place. It's the only way to eradicate it. They say it takes 5 growing seasons of eradication and burning on site for it to go away.
Do you have any, by the way?
Yep.
I do too. And I've been working on it for 49 years.
Ever since I got there.
Well, that's not a good sign then. So, but you know, you just gotta keep after it, and if, we'll make as much of it a grassy slope as we can. The graffiti's been removed.
they did a good job on that. They
It looks
did.
really good. There's still some more cleaning. Dean and I went down there today. The playground equipment has been primed. We're waiting on the delivery of colors that match the existing play structures to paint those. The nets will get installed. We're really desperately waiting for a couple of 50-degree days
Gotcha.
with no rain to get things,
No rain.
yeah, that's the key part. Next week, we think we're gonna be good.
I think
So
too.
we have made some site visits, and there's a lot of, I guess, interrelated projects. Some very easy fixes to lighting, some more complicated ones. So if you're in the parking lot and you're walking down, you see the first pole, we'll easily be able to put a couple of lights, LED, pretty high up at 45-degree angles, and we'll be able to put, there's 4 poles as you look down toward the tennis courts, and we'll be able to take the old lights out and put at 90-degree angles 2 lights on each of those.
Where's your drawing?
What's that?
Where's your drawing?
My drawing is, you know where it is, you've seen it. And then the tennis court lights are non-functional right now. We do have to do some directional boring, so we'll hire that out because it's easier than digging in that area to get to a pole, and then we can activate those lights. The electric department has no interest, and I agree with them, of activating those lights until we get a security and surveillance system in place so they don't
Agreed.
get shot out.
Again, yeah.
Agreed.
So, you know how Heidi said it best, it is a team effort, so we try to divide and conquer. Our wastewater team is gonna be the lead in the 3 bids of the security camera system, starting at Marble Mill, but it also impacts them at their plant and Foundry Street. So right now, they volunteered, they heard me talking about it, young Dylan has some good interest in it, wants to do it, by all means, because I do not have the capacity right now to make it happen.
I
Yeah,
thought
was
we do
talking
it.
to me.
It was not online.
Oh, okay. So, we have a meeting here at 10 or 11 tomorrow, where that handoff will happen. And we're just looking for 3 independent companies to come in and say, starting at Marble Mill, what can we do here? Some places can be hooked to fiber and it's fairly easy, others are gonna be more problematic, but we need a good comprehensive camera solution. I think the good news is we're protecting our electric investment
Yeah,
at Marble Mill.
absolutely.
Electric funds can pay for that.
Yep.
And then it gets a little more problematic at other locations. But we really want one on the pole near the VFW parking lot that looks on the bridge, one in front of your property that looks the other way on the bridge, and several at Marble Mill. And these are not gonna be inexpensive, but they're gonna be good, and that's what we need to help deter
Yeah,
what's happening with vandalism.
with the priority on Marble Mill, that's for sure.
Yes, yep.
The bridge.
So all of those things are happening. We're excited for it, because I think once we get that lighting in, and some security enhancement, signs are easy, they'll be ordered soon. We're just kinda compiling, there's a lot of signs that we need to order right now, and Dean's team would prefer to do that all at once.
Makes sense.
So more to follow, but, good progress.
Good.
Yeah.
And
that
knock
sounds
on wood, it has been a week since we painted, roughly, and it hasn't been tagged
good.
yet.
Yeah.
We check daily, the police department's making a much more concerted effort to get down there.
them out there walking.
Sure do.
Yeah, see him down there now. Yeah.
There was, it might not be able to be public by name and circumstance, but they just had a pretty significant drug arrest in the parking lot down there.
Good. Awesome. All right.
Any more questions about Marble Mill?
No.
Okay. Okay, number 9, discuss and approve the Blake Street Swanton Recreation Parking Ban Ordinance.
Okay, so the way that this reads is no person shall park any vehicle on Blake Street for the purpose of attending any activities at the Swanton Recreational Facility. Violations of this section will result in a parking fine of $25 for the first offense and $50 for subsequent offenses. If a vehicle is found in violation, it needs to be removed by the police department. May call for the removal in accordance with Title 23 VSA 1102 at the owner's expense. I don't really have a problem with that, right? Because it says at any activity for the Swan Rec facility. Then we could put no parking at any time along the side of the field or of the John Raleigh field, right along the side by the fence,
On the fence.
on the fence.
We
Right,
could
on
also-
the fence?
So there's a non-breakaway pole right now with one red sign, no parking this side of street, which is fine. We would move it up a little bit in front of the gate on that side that goes into right where the memorial for John Raleigh is. Put it on a breakaway pole, duplicate that same exact sign, so when people go around and turn around at the apartments, they will then see it at the other end.
Yep.
Oh, I see.
The catch-all here is, even absent any ordinance, it is impossible, based on distance, for a car to completely get off the highway and park. Law enforcement would have the authority at any time to actually ask somebody to move, based on the fact that they're parked in the street, and tow them.
Right,
But this as written is fine. It
okay.
just gives you, it's a little
Extra.
added buffer. We'll put those signs up, and then this protects the Blake Street Apartments, the complex, in case somebody's having a party there, there's overflow, there's absolutely nothing going on at Recreation. If the police go out, they can certainly use discretion, investigate. If it's for somebody's birthday party, and it's no harm, no foul, I assume they're gonna do the right thing.
Right, right.
Comment, I can accept it the way it's written, and I also could accept it saying no parking at all, because that street is narrow. And sometimes during the ball games and other, it must have been a safety problem from time to time.
A little congested for sure.
I remember doing it myself years ago, but we didn't have that many people, you know, I mean, really. But, I can support it the way it is,
We've already voted on it last meeting.
essentially.
Right, yeah, we did, we already voted on it, it's just to come back to
Well, you
look
voted
at.
on it, but you didn't adopt it, we didn't have it prepared.
Okay, so
today
now-
it would
That
be
was the next
adopted.
question.
Okay, so what do we need to do to do
So
that?
today would be adopted and approved, I'd get it posted and run in the paper. It would take, so the residents would have until May 25th if they wanted to do a petition. If not, it would become effective June 11th.
Okay,
So, just to get it.
It wouldn't
So
necessarily
just a
take,
motion to approve and adopt that parking ban as presented, and then sign it.
Okay,
Alright.
so
I'll
do
make
we
the
have a motion?
I'll make the motion, we approve the parking ban as presented.
I'll second.
Any, what's that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried.
Just a follow-up discussion, I assume the trustees have no issue with us putting the signs up now, knowing we
Correct.
can
No, go ahead.
enforce
Oh,
because,
it's
because
okay.
because they'll be parked on the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking about that, and I forgot to suggest it.
The only thing I just kinda thought was like, no recreation parking on Lake Street sign somewhere. I'll go to the parking lot off of Jewett. That's all I could, just the redirectional, for those who don't.
Just for information's sake, for temporary. I would,
Maybe Swanton Rec can put that up.
Swan Rec.
yeah, some temporary thing for, if they could put it. Because within a week or two, the people are gonna know.
Yeah.
And of course, once it goes in effect, we'll make it public both on our website and on Facebook. Okay.
It used to be kind of a horseshoe situation down there, right? Yeah.
And this makes things a lot safer in my mind.
But it will be advertised in the paper like soon, we'll do 3
Excellent.
runs.
Yep.
Good resolution.
Okay, number 10, water allocation increase request for 145 Quam Shore Road.
So, being that you two are new,
Yeah.
what we do is we make a motion to go into water commissioners,
Mm-hmm.
and, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. And then we read this again, Diane gives us the information, we vote on it, yea or nay, and then we make a motion to come out of water commissioners. All those in favor, and then we make a motion to go back into our regular scheduled meeting.
And 145 Quam Shore, that is the facility, or water
That's
treatment?
the
Because
location
that's
of the
coming-
request.
It's coming to the board because it's in the town.
Okay.
If it was village, Bill could approve. Any water allocation requests that are in the town, the board has to approve.
Okay.
The capacity's there, the plant's been upgraded, it's more of a formality than ever an issue of not having enough, like we have the full capacity.
So I'll make the motion that we go into water commissioners at 8:03.
I'll second the motion.
Motion carried? No?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Going to,
We're in
water
water.
commission.
So this was just, John and Sandra Knapp are converting their camp to a year-round dwelling, single-family dwelling. And they're gonna go from 100 gallons per day to 360 gallons per day. And it's a requirement from zoning office that they just like this.
So they're already getting village water.
They already get water,
Sure.
yes, they have a camp, and they have a home, but they're converting this camp to another single-family dwelling. They already have a water meter, a water connection, the whole 9 yards, they just need to increase their allocation.
Seems like enough water.
Is that like average? Is that like
Yeah, there's a formula that the engineers will use,
based on like
bedrooms.
bathrooms and bedrooms?
think
Bedrooms
it's
and
bedrooms.
occupants, yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I guess we can.
I'll make a motion to approve the increased water allocation. Did I hear it right?
For 145
For 145 Macomb Shore Road.
I can second that.
Any, yays? Nays?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried to approve the water allocation for 145 McQuam Shore Road.
That's good.
I'll make a motion. Oop, go ahead.
Go ahead. Make the motion to come out of the water commissioners meeting and go back into the regular meeting.
At 20:05.
Whatever, I can't really do that from here.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried to exit water commission meeting.
Go back into regular.
I'll make
And
a
go back
motion
into the, you gonna make
to
another
go back
motion?
into regular scheduled meeting at 20:05.
I'll second it, just to keep going.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any nays? Motion carried. Back into, regular meeting.
There you go.
All right, El Jefe, it's your turn.
Number 11, village manager update.
All right, I'm gonna be brief,
Okay.
I think. Total Eclipse, it went great.
Awesome.
Wonderful event. We staffed this as an EOC with myself, Brian Savage, intermittently, depending on where they were, fire department, police department, and the AOT drone program. So that was pretty cool. They were flying in 30-minute intervals, and we had a live feed on these screens of them in the air. One of 3 locations in the state to do that. Largely uneventful. We did pre-deploy resources at 9 in the morning for fire department, 11 o'clock positioned police department. The pre-deployment of the fire department was pretty well planned, because they were 20 seconds away from the car that went off 78 west of Devon's snack bar into the marsh. So it was an injury accident, but they were right there. The only time that it really became significant is after the event. For
Yeah.
about an hour and a half, the traffic here was
It's busy.
horrible, but not as horrible as the 5 hours it took to get from St. Albans to Montpelier on the interstate after, or the 12-hour trip for folks to get back to New Hampshire. So we are having an after-action next week at some point, but it was just a great event. Really well attended. I thought it was eerie. The traffic just stopped, completely stopped.
Did you hear the cheers throughout the community?
You could hear a lot of
Yeah.
cheers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was
was
pretty
great.
neat. Yep.
Yep.
Fireworks.
It was like we all experienced it
Fireworks on the hog, I
together
heard.
separately.
I heard there were a lot of fireworks all over the place, yes.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Weird sounding fireworks.
Yeah.
It was kind of.
So, I'm also glad it's behind us.
Yes.
It was a great event, but, it's good. There was a inordinate amount of planning meetings for that one event, but it was significant.
Hey, you guys were prepared and, you know, you pulled it off and it was
Yep.
good.
It went well.
I got some pictures of the traffic, I'll send you.
Nice. Yeah, so we got some encouraging one-fingered salutes from some of the motorists, and it happens. It's just everyone else gets the waves and the accolades, and the PD has to go out. And what really backed it up was the release of traffic from St. Albans Bay. The New Yorkers coming through the intersection were held up literally for a half an hour because we had to clear the village out first. And that didn't go over well, especially if you're first or second in line. Right, we've all been there, you're thinking it's my turn next, and that didn't come for a very long time, so there were some choice words.
The bridge looked like a parking lot for quite a while.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Zoning, so we had a discussion, and the request was for me to follow up with zoning to determine if there was anything that could be done in the zoning law rewrite that the town was doing that would protect us for incidental contractor sidewalk damage.
Correct.
So the answer is they don't believe so. They don't recommend it. That's zoning and Brian at the town. So we researched here. I actually researched with Dean and Diane, and what we found is we can't identify any monetary loss in the last 5 years as a result of any damage to a sidewalk or other village-owned structure. We've had that happen, but you call what is a reputable person who did the work, and they certainly offer to repair it right away, and there have been many cases of that. So it seems to be a case of no desire on the part of zoning, and I agree with them, to create something where there's very little applicability or risk for us.
Perfect.
Electric department, so I think it was pretty well publicized on our site, but we went out with Enosburg and provided mutual aid to Green Mountain Power. So usually it's us to Enosburg and vice versa, us to Vermont Electric Co-op. In this case, Green Mountain Power got hit so hard that the vast majority of our linemen, our line workers and Enosburg went out and did about 20 hours of mutual aid to them to get things restored. So two full days, they treated us well. That's good. One thing that is impacting our electric department, you've heard me talk about it, but I think it's gonna get worse. Dwayne will come in, he's not on the list, I think, until August for an electric update, but we are seeing triple the cost consistently for transformers across the board regardless of size.
Yeah.
3 times since COVID.
Yep.
The wait times, we thought would start to decrease, and that has not been the case. Small, normal size transformer, 50 weeks, 54 weeks. Bigger ones, 100 to 104 weeks. Yeah, So those are the types of delays that are gonna impact projects. Luckily, we have the planning in place, so like the EV charger, for example, funding's not here for a year. So we're fortunate because we own our own electric department. We're gonna go ahead and order in anticipation of that. It is not a loss for us in any way if that project were to fall through. So there's no risk on our end, because we need those transformers for our bigger customers regardless. So it's actually beneficial to us, but think about if you wanna take the risk and you're just another entity that's laying it all on the line, hoping that project comes to fruition, or you get the project and then you have to wait a year to get the transformer to even turn it on. So it's just something to be aware of in the back of your mind. Again, despite that, no rate increase since 2016. We're doing fine in that department, but at some point, it has to have an impact. It's just across the board.
It will.
Just an update, the Highgate Water and Wastewater Extension has gone out to bid. So it's officially out. Roughly a year behind, Heidi, I would say, close to that.
Yeah.
So there, again, this is Highgate's project, Highgate owned. Our interests come based on the fact that we will provide the water and we will provide the services to take care of the wastewater. At some point, if this becomes a fully funded and owned without debt on the part of Highgate, we might see Highgate officials approaching us to ask if we want to take ownership of that line. So more to follow on that. For right now, we're just following it closely, supporting, because again, this will be a customer of ours, and water will be more of a demand at first until businesses get up and running. But if 5 years from now, I think you're gonna see a lot of increased revenue from water and wastewater from this project.
Gotcha.
They are saying the earliest start date, by the way, for this project would be September to October, and it will run into 2025. Hydro, so unit 1 and 2 are still offline while I am talking. I'm going to pass you nice colored charts. These are production charts, so we are ahead of the game. We're a little bit behind for the year compared to last year. We had a really good March in terms of generation. So unit 1 and 2 are still offline. The part for unit 1 is going to be delivered and installed on May 17th. So then we'll
Really?
have, yep, so that one's done.
That's okay.
Not unit 2.
I
So
know.
that, yeah, so that was the control ring.
Yeah.
Unit 2's thrust bearing was replaced. They fired it up. It was a no-go. We had to get the contractors back, the specialist. They did not have to disassemble the top of the turbine, which would have taken a long time and been very expensive. They actually crawled in underneath with our folks from Hydro and disassembled it from the bottom, and it is the lower guide bearing that was shot. That's going out. It'll get refurbished. We hope to get this one back on the line after summer maintenance. So we are generating, we're still spilling, we are generating roughly 7.4, which is good based on the fact that we have unit 1 and 2 down.
Are we running the river?
We are, but when the river runs good, we're okay.
We're good.
Yeah, yeah. So we,
That's
yes,
just
we
until
can't,
the end of this,
End of May.
yeah.
so we can't peak. So yeah, that is actually on here, the reminder through May 31st at 2400. So we generate based on what Mother Nature provides with no ability to peak and pond. But again, we're spilling anyway. With the melting and the rain that we're gonna get over the next little bit, I think we're gonna have a very good April as well. And then we'll see what summer brings. Stormwater, invitations to bid for this stormwater solution to meet the 3-acre rule are due on March 26th. Last week, we had the walkthrough here. 9 or 10 off the top of my head interested vendors, which is great. Competition is phenomenal when they look around and look at one another. So again, we'll get the bids back. There'll be an opening here, public opening, and then we'll fingers crossed and hope to get a good viable rate and do that now and not wait 5 years, because it's only gonna go up. So we do have funding available to meet that need as long as it's a reasonable price.
You also have the chance of regulations changing.
We could, absolutely. Okay, show and tell, wastewater. So we've been having a lot of issues with buildup and debris, essentially it's roots. This one has not been in the wastewater pipe. This is a sample, okay? So it hasn't not just been cleaned.
No, it's
So-
a dishwasher.
This is heavy, I'm gonna pass it around in a minute. All the spaces where you see, this goes on our Vector. So the tube on the front of our Vector, right, we got an incredible piece of equipment that we have not quite been maximizing for its built-in purpose. So it shoots water out of everywhere that you see to, including the front. These shoot out, this is designed for 6-inch to 8-inch pipes. The pipes that we're having problems with are 6 to 8-inch clay tile pipes. So Blake Bosworth Winters Court. We go out, so we hire a vendor to run a camera, $500 for 4 hours. They can't fix it, so we were gonna have to call another vendor ×3 to fix this blockage. I authorized the purchase of this. Again, this is now a combination of water, wastewater, enterprise funds, $3,800 for that tool right there.
Yeah.
It worked.
And it
We went in today and it worked
Yeah, Mike said
and
it just like went right through the root and just like
bore right through everything.
disintegrated it.
So we're gonna utilize this a lot. This paid for itself today. Because your alternatives are replacing your clay tile pipe, exorbitantly expensive, silly. Using this, which we did, of course, or hiring a vendor. Well, when we have a Vector with the capabilities that we do. So I do have an action item that I would like to request. In the demo today, there's a camera that does the same thing. It looks almost the same, except the claws, and it goes in and gives you a visual picture. It is no more than $15,000. You picking up what I'm laying down for the motion? It would be evenly split between water and wastewater. And we gotta stop calling vendors and spending $500 every time we need one. And we're not doing it as often as we would if we owned our own device.
Yeah.
So it's something that would pay for itself. It's not gonna impact rates. We have the money to do it. We do need a motion to purchase a camera for probing water and wastewater lines utilizing our Vector for no more, it's right around 13,000-ish, but I don't wanna have to come back with an exact, if the motion says no more than $15,000,
Okay.
we would like to pull the trigger on that.
I'll
It'll
make-
be a nice service to offer people in the village and whoever's on the system, because
Yeah.
if you add an extra bedroom to an addition or something, you gotta go through this whole certification. I had to hire somebody to come videograph to do the lines, and they have to certify everything.
Yeah.
I mean, a $250 building permit ended up being almost $3,000.
Right.
Because of all this, and they were on municipal system. And this is a new thing that the state's requiring. We're usually used to having to hire these folks when we're on a septic system, and you have to redesign the septic system.
Right.
When it's municipal system, you're like, well, there's all kinds of capacity, what's the problem? But they just make you do all these steps.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion, to spend no more than $15,000 on a camera for probing water and wastewater pipes. Did I get that right, sir?
Yes.
That's right. I'll second the motion, and I have a question.
Yes.
What did it do to the pipe?
Nothing, and that's the whole intent.
That's
It's
It's
wonderful.
to take care of it without destroying the pipe. That's the design.
That's unbelievable.
It did this, it was like,
Unbelievable.
It shoots it forward in a way, yeah, it's just. cuts
Okay.
through
Forward,
everything.
backward, and they didn't think it would work this good, this
Wa-
well.
Water
and it
jet,
did.
I think is what it's called,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Water jetting.
Yep.
Versus the old mechanical way.
yeah, they were out on Blake today and I.
Our Vector can build up the pressure to whatever is needed, right?
Yeah, our
It's very
Vector,
high.
our Vector controls all of that. There are additional, most of our lines, especially with wastewater, are that size. The gold part is an attachment. And if you have a different line that you are trying to do, it's literally like $350 for a different set of,
Without
set
the
of.
gold.
So it just
No,
different
with a
diameter.
different diameter for the
guidelines.
gold.
Oh, I see.
So
The
same
middle, the
head,
middle
but
would never change, right? The head would never change,
Very interesting, yeah.
And
No.
most of our problems are with 6 and up.
especially wastewater, yes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, they've been on Blake for the last two
For
days.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, So,
It's,
I mean,
it's
maybe-
another example of utilizing the capability of that Vector and maximizing it, which then allows us to maximize Public Works time
yeah,
more efficiently.
yeah,
Wonderful.
I agree.
So did anybody second that motion? Excuse
He
me?
did.
I did.
Okay,
So,
all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye,
Any nays? Motion carried to
wonderful job.
acquire a new,
Thank you, and Public Works thanks you.
water jet apparatus.
Just a couple more quick things. Merchants Row, I know there's been some impatience and rightfully so. Remember, we got a request from Karen's Hair Studio to go down and, especially on that side of Merchants Row, to take off the railings that are in very poor condition, to affix new railings. The new railing material has come in. There was also a request right in front of Karen's Hair Studio to turn that parking spot into handicap parking. So that's been discussed, we just need 2 non-rainy 50-degree days. So the epoxy for the railings must set, you have to wait. I went down there personally today and talked, well, actually left a message because I couldn't get in, it was 8:30, there was no one there. But we plan Monday and Tuesday are the target dates for that. For Dean, Public Works, make that handicap, we have everything we need, we'll paint it. And then for the railings, same time, Monday and Tuesday next week. If we get any weather issues, it'll have to be delayed for a couple more days. But we're close. It's that time of year we see a lot of competing interest for in particular, Dean's crew, in the Public Works team.
yes,
For
they
sure.
do a lot.
Yep.
They're-
The last one is, we have advertised now for a while for our additional police officer, and the administrative assistant interviews start tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
For,
It's good.
for both of them or just you?
For both,
Okay.
they're gonna just do them both together. And, you know, I think based on the applicants, I believe we are gonna be successful in both. And be very pleased with the decision.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And they have to interview,
Yeah.
so on paper, we're looking good.
there are a lot of applicants?
I wouldn't say a lot, I would say the quality that we're looking for is there, for
Oh,
both.
well, that's what.
Yes.
what important part.
That's the most important part.
Yeah.
And that is all that I have. I'm gonna give you one more handout. This is just it's just informational. This is the list of people that we have coming in to do presentations. We have filled every meeting for the rest of the year,
Oh,
with the exception of November 11th. But Heidi, you'll be back for that. We'll fill every single one. Diane's looking like, come on, killing me.
Gonna be the most popular individual here.
We haven't taken a meeting off since I've been here. We will at some point. So that's all I have, with the exception of executive session.
All right,
Okay, so that ends, village manager's update, and number 12, public comment. Anybody
Do we have any?
out there in the world?
no,
No?
No, my sister crashed.
Any other necessary business, number 13?
Yes,
I
just
know.
two things. One, just get on camera. Saturday, May 25th is Flags for Veterans. We'll be putting flags up in the park, 150. Looking for help, as we always are. So, come on down. We're gonna start at roughly 8:30, 8:45. I'll be down there at 8:30. We'll drill holes. The town is gonna make sure everything is marked out for power, which we never hit anyway, but you never know. And going from there. So, and then we'll come back the following weekend and take the flags down and put them back.
Did you say May 25th?
May 25th.
And what day of the week is that?
It's a Saturday.
Saturday.
Adam, is that still open for people to sponsor flags, or is it
Uh,
closed?
check with the town. I don't think we're accepting anymore because we have so little help in the past.
Okay. So
Last year it
it's
took us 3.5 hours for 8 people.
Gotten some people to ask that question. and
Okay.
It's like, I'm not
Yep.
sure. I thought it was
yeah,
closed.
yeah,
as well.
I'll definitely be there to help.
So, but
Um,
that's the reason why, is just the lack of help. And, you know, when you get 5 to 8 people and you're doing 150 flags, plus
Yep.
you're drilling the holes and lining everything up,
Yeah.
it's a long day. But it's worth it. It's, I wouldn't give it up for the world, so
Yeah, it looks really
it
nice.
means a lot.
So you're saying if there were not a softball game on that day, a team of varsity softball players might be helpful?
Absolutely.
Football player?
I don't know if we have a game, I gotta look. We don't, this is where they're going to practice.
There you go.
And
Hey, everybody needs hours, right?
yeah,
It's
and
true.
on your,
That's right.
Memorial Day
That's right, they do
parade,
that now, don't they?
Yep.
They do.
when, I'm sorry, am I
Society stuff, but-
That's okay.
jumping
That
on
was-
you?
That was next.
Okay, what time is that again?
2 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, so the next one I got is the Memorial Day Parade. This is a Swanton Community Memorial Day Parade. The Select Board, the Village Trustees, the Chamber of Commerce, being Joel Clark and myself. You know, we kind of put things together. He does his thing, I do my thing. And then, right now, we're looking for people to participate in the parade. We plan on starting exactly at 2 o'clock out of the Babcock School on Monday, May 27th. Please be there at the park, or at the school, if you're going to be in the parade. The only theme we've got is patriotic. And right, you know, going along the lines with Memorial Day Parade, we honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
So,
That's the key.
I participate in an event, it's called Wear Blue to Remember. It's a self-paced 5K run walk, and I do it every other Saturday. And they just sent me a bunch of boards with soldiers, airmen, Marines who paid the ultimate sacrifice. Can I add that, like, on your parade route?
See why not?
Okay.
I don't
Add
imagine
them to
anybody's
what?
gonna have any objection to it.
So,
Add
They're-
them to what?
They're just like
his
little
parade route,
billboards.
they're little
Oh,
like
billboards.
billboards that
Yeah.
I could stick up
Yeah.
along the.
Yeah, I
And
just
that may
hear
be
that
something we
last
one.
could
Oh,
put in
sorry.
Veterans Memorial as well.
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
You know,
I can pick
and
'em
by
up.
the Lady Liberty statue. Yep. So, but, yeah, looking for folks to, you know, make a flow, come and walk, support, you know, support those who, made the ultimate sacrifice. That's what it's about. It's what makes this country great. We did touch base on the Jones Court. I'm one of the ones that got the letter.
Yes.
Apparently, my property is part of Jones Court, so any discussions with regards to fees or anything, we'll have to have discussion. But, yeah, anybody who got it on Jones Court, just disregard it. You can toss it in the file 13, so
Wherever.
it means nothing.
So you're part of it even though you're not on it?
Correct,
Interesting.
I don't know why.
yeah. Story for another day, I'll tell you that. Had a question, are we gonna do or continue street sweeping?
We are not with so for the record, for people, we used to contract way before my arrival with a street sweeper vendor.
Gary, sweeping service.
That doesn't exist anymore, nor the capability, and we don't have funds to buy a street sweeper, so we do it the old-fashioned way with the one that they do. Yeah, they've actually already been doing.
I thought they had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they tried to get ahead of it during
Did
that
you
warm
see their
spell.
ingenious invention?
I have, they're MacGyver back there,
They are
there's no
MacGyvers.
doubt about it, so they do the best with what they have, so the answer is yes.
The sweeper on the skid steer, is that what it is?
No.
Broom sweeper? No?
Yes, yes, but not on the skid steer.
Not on the skid steer.
No. It's on the, well, there's a couple different versions. What?
So I'm talking about the tank of water in the back of the truck because they like
Oh,
a rainy day.
Yes, yes.
So there's not so much
Right.
dust.
Yes.
So they put a huge
Mhm.
tank on the back of the truck
Yep.
with this pipe, they
Right.
drilled holes in.
Mhm.
So if it's a sunny, beautiful day,
Mhm.
they can still drop water
Right.
and be able to sweep without causing.
Yeah.
Oh, that dust. That's nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
you get some people upset if you do it when it's.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's pretty
Yep.
good,
Yep.
invention.
That's
It
what it
is.
is.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And the last thing I had, there was an article in the Messenger maybe a week, 10 days ago with regards to the Highgate border crossing and initial construction date of 26. There was also talk a couple of years ago about running water out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've had any further communication.
We have, that would be a decade-long project, so I've had an initial conversation with A&E. I've talked to the border, but it's much more involved than
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
So we would have to get a concept out there, and the first step would be hiring an engineering firm through an RFP that would simply tell us if it's possible. So anything's possible, but if it's reasonably possible with how many holding stations, how many pump stations it would take to get there, and then the viability if 0 to 100% people got curb stops and signed up.
Yep.
And then, can we meet that capacity? So many factors.
All
We
right.
have started the discussion, and this is the important part. I think we have to be mindful that we have to start discussions today, knowing that it might be 10 or 15 years away.
Yep.
Same thing, we're starting to have initial discussions, just manager to manager with the town of St. Albans of, it really would make no sense for us in theory to try to take our water and wastewater out to the southern growth district of the town. It makes perfect sense for St. Albans to do that and have
Mhm.
a partnership.
Mhm.
It makes more sense for us to explore doing water down McQuam Shore Road
Mhm.
towards St. Albans to meet up where their system starts.
Mhm.
They're not doing that now.
No.
No, not yet.
What's the pipe they're laying?
That I don't, well, they're gonna take care of their needs first. Their needs essentially end at the shopping center. And then, but they're not far away. They're not far away. That's feasible for them to do that, but I can't speak on their behalf, but I know I know at some point they probably would have an interest in expanding.
Yep.
And so that would be a good
I know they talked with
business
this,
customer.
oh gosh, what, 6, 7 years ago maybe?
Maybe perhaps.
Yeah, about doing that.
But now that you see the city and the town merger for water
Yeah,
and police coverage, they'll take care of their own water and wastewater needs as a new entity first.
yeah.
Yeah. But that's pretty important for Southern Growth District to really expand.
Right.
You gotta have those services.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all I had, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question for the trustees. So we don't often do this once we're in executive session. We're there for a while. I do think for the camera, we would have one, we could go into executive session quickly, excuse the camera, have what I think is gonna be a very quick discussion, come out and go on the record for something, because we will have an action item
Mhm.
coming out of that, then go back in for executive session and dismiss, if that works.
That works?
Yeah, it's fine.
That works.
Okay.
So-
I move that we find that we enter executive session for the trustees to receive confidential contract information to which the premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the trustees and others at a substantial disadvantage.
I'll second the motion. You're done, right?
All signifying yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. No nos? Okay. Motion carried to go into executive discussion.
We're back in regular session? Okay.
Welcome back.
So coming out of executive session, I make the motion to enter into contract for repair of the B6 bridge for the cost of $331,646.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Can we identify
As-
who we're entering into a contract with, please?
Yes, we are entering into a contract with Dirt Tech Company LLC
Thank you.
Okay.
for the estimated cost of $331,646.
Where are they located, by
They're a local company, Williston.
the way? Williston?
Yeah.
I need a second.
So, there
Oh,
was,
Eugene did, but I will.
all in
I
favor?
think I did.
You did.
Oh, you did,
did?
Eugene, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
All in favor for accepting the bid for $331,646 from Dirt Tech
Aye.
Aye.
for Barry
Aye.
Bridge? Okay. Any nays? Motion carried. Fantastic.
And I assume all those trucks are gonna take the Beebe Road and turn right and go south.
Hopefully, yeah. So all those out there, it's about 25% less than what we were looking at, so that's great, fantastic.
Good
Yeah, that
news.
was
Nice work, Bill.
Good resolution right there for sure.
It's a little relief. Yeah,
And
wasn't my file.
so now we're going,
So I have nothing else official. So
Do you need anything in executive session?
Did we need to follow up on any of those other discussions from that week?
I don't.
There's nothing new to report
That's the
on any of
problem,
those other
there's nothing new on any of
lovely
those.
issues.
Correct.
That's it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now.
You're kidding.
I make a motion to adjourn regular meeting at 20:42.
Second?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
All in favor of ending this meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. We are ending our village trustee meeting for April 10th, 2024.